faith and hope with Sweet Tea and Sass, encouraging couples to reconnect with God and with each other so they can live their happily ever after too.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sweet Tea and Sass.
And today we want to talk about our backstories. Today we're going to talk about Sweet Tea's backstory and what led up to the day that he met me, lucky, and then when we got together and decided to get married. And we want to talk about what led up to him being the sweet tea that he is today. So tell us, what do you remember from like your early childhood? Where were you born? And tell us a little bit about your parents.
Well, my parents are both from Southern Texas. They met right after Mom graduated high school, and they were married for a year or so before Dad joined the Air Force. I was born in Yankee Land, unfortunately, but I was born to Southern parents.
Were you sweet tea then or not?
No.
No?
I was born at Chanute Air Force Base up in Illinois, which is no longer there. Shows you how old I am.
However, it is a nice museum. We did go there.
It is a nice museum. But again, it's still up north where it's cold and snowy. So I lived there for probably 4 months, I guess, before Dad moved to his next duty station was up in Loring, Maine. And then while we were there, we had snow on the ground from May up until May of that year. And then we had snow on the ground again the 1st of August that year. And Mom was not happy. And
yeah, I bet that was quite a change for a Texas girl.
Yes, it was.
Especially a Houston, Texas girl.
Yes, it was.
Has she never seen snow before?
She had snow once or twice in Houston, but it's Texas. It doesn't last long.
Houston snow's nothing compared to Maine snow.
No. So, but while there, Dad was selected for pilot training. So we moved from there to Arizona. And all of this is within my first 2 years of life.
Wow, what a change. Maine to Arizona?
Yes.
What a shocker.
And we were in Arizona for 2 years. Now, this is all going off of memory and stories that my mom has told me.
Of course.
I don't remember this stuff because I was a toddler.
The way I put it is based on a true story because it's based on the stories I was told.
True. From there, we moved to, after Dad finished pilot training, we moved to Oklahoma where my oldest sister was born.
Family's expanding.
Yes. And then we moved.
Got a baby sister.
I wasn't happy.
I don't think most little boys are happy when they get a baby sister.
No, I wasn't. But then we moved from there to Ohio. No, we moved from there to Louisiana. And I started kindergarten in Louisiana. Had fun. Enjoyed school.
That's news to me. Enjoyed school.
But then we moved to Ohio halfway through kindergarten, and we got to Ohio, and I was too young for kindergarten in Ohio. So I was held out for a year before I could go back to school.
Because a little tidbit there, he was born in December. So the cutoffs are different in different states.
True. And then we were in Ohio for 2 years, maybe 3. And then we moved to the Philippines.
Wow.
Philippines was interesting.
Much different.
I was in the Philippines for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. My 2 youngest sisters were born in the Philippines.
Oh, wow. You weren't happy about one sister and then you got 2 more?
Yeah, I got 2 more.
Ooh, 3 sisters. Mm.
And I'm the only boy.
Oh,
I'm
my
also
goodness.
the oldest. So you know how my life went.
Can I tell you a little secret though? Boys with sisters make great husbands because they already know about all the girl stuff that they have to deal with. That's just my little tip for you.
In the Philippines for 3 years. And then we moved back to Ohio.
Ohio seems to be a theme here.
Well, there's more themes coming. And then we moved from Ohio to California, where Dad got into the missile program out there for 3 years. And I was in junior high in California, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Now, let me interject a question here. When your dad was in the Philippines, what was his job while he was there?
Oh, he was a pilot in the Philippines. He flew generals around.
Okay. So once he finished his flight school, he was always flying.
He was always flying until we got to California.
So you were home with your mom and three sisters. So one boy in a house full of girls.
Yep. No dad.
No dad. Dad was
Well,
gone flying most of the time.
Yeah, Dad was gone flying most of the time.
Oh, what fun.
The second time we were in Ohio, kind of revert back here a little bit, but the second time we were in Ohio, I woke up one morning and Dad was gone. So I asked Mom, I said, "Where's Dad?" And she said, "Oh, he's off flying." I said, "When's he going to be back?" She said, "Don't know." 3 months later, Dad came home.
Wow.
So it's bittersweet not having a dad around. More bitter than it is sweet.
Did that kind of traumatize you some, you think?
Yeah. Because when Dad was around, the rules changed. In
what way did they change?
They got more strict.
Because you never know.
You never knew which way the pendulum was going to swing at any given time.
Well, sometimes when dads are home and they've been gone a lot, they come home, they're a little more lenient because they want to be fun with their kids.
Not in my case.
Sometimes they come back, they're more strict because they want to be the man of the house and all that kind of stuff.
That was more of it, where Dad was concerned. Plus, I was the oldest and I was the only boy, so I took the brunt of most of the discipline in the house. And of course, my two youngest sisters, they were treated totally different than me and my oldest sister.
That's what I call
Mr. Spock and his famous book.
That's what I call the Dr. Spock treatment.
Yep.
If you have siblings that are, a couple of years separated from you, or that are separated from you, and you were born in like the 60s, early 70s, and then you have ones that were born in the late 70s, 80s, you got the Dr. Spock in there where he thought, you didn't need to discipline your children with spankings and timeouts and all that. He thought you needed to nurture them and, gently correct them. And you got totally different kids from those two.
Yes, that is totally true.
That's what has been my experience when I've worked with families and family coaching.
Yes. So catch up here. We're in California. Then we moved back to Louisiana.
My home, sweet home.
We get to Louisiana, and I am now we had another stop in before Louisiana.
Another
move. Went from California to Virginia. Dad was back in school again in Virginia, and I finished junior high in my first year of high school there in Virginia.
You finished the year you finished?
My 8th grade year and my freshman year of high school.
You went the whole freshman year?
Went the whole half of freshman year.
Half the freshman year. That's what I was thinking.
Half the freshman year.
Right.
So we moved from Virginia to Louisiana the second time.
In the middle of your freshman year of high school.
Middle of my freshman year of high school.
That's tough.
In December, right around my birthday. I always seem to find time to move my birthday month.
Well,
because when we moved from Ohio to the Philippines, it was on my birthday. And we left here on the 16th and we got to the Philippines on the 18th. So I didn't have a birthday that year.
So you're a year younger than you think you are.
I wish.
You just skipped a birthday.
I wish. We gained it back when we came back.
Oh.
So,
but that's the military life, because you try to move while the kids are out of school so
True.
that you're not moving them in the middle of school. So it's the summer and during Christmas holidays is when most military families move.
That is when most military families move. Yeah. Yes.
And if you have a birthday that falls in there, it just stinks even worse.
Yes, it does. But Mom always tried to make it a special time for birthdays.
Yeah, she always did that. She's a special lady.
Yep. And then after we left the Philippines, we got back to the States, and we finally ended up in Louisiana midway through my freshman year of high school, finished out high school.
Now, hang on a minute. I have a couple questions. What was Mom like during this time? As you were growing up and Dad was gone and Dad was back, what was Mom like when Dad was home and when Dad was gone? How did that change?
When Dad was gone, Mom seemed to be more outgoing, more energetic, fun loving, so to speak. I guess she was trying to keep our minds off of where Dad was and what was going on with Dad and keep us focused on school and
Yeah.
trying to do that kind of stuff. And then when Dad was around, she was more of a homebody. She didn't not laid back, but more withdrawn, I guess, is what it seemed like to me.
Do you think that was just adapting? Because I know that with a lot of military families, I've worked with a lot of military families, spoken with a lot of military spouses, and I know that that adjustment is hard, and especially making it as often as your parents did.
Right.
Who is the alpha and who is not, and then it's changing because he's leaving and she has to take over the bills and the responsibility for everything, and then he comes in and he takes it back over, and it's just really hard. It's a real battle and a shift in everything, and it makes it difficult. So I just wondered how she adapted to that back and forth so often, because that was a lot of moving and a lot of him being gone.
It was, but again, I was a boy, so I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to what was going on.
True.
I wasn't keyed into that kind of stuff, and there was a lot of stuff that Mom and Dad didn't talk about openly around the kids. A lot of their discussions were behind closed doors where we didn't hear it. And personally, I didn't want to know it.
TMI.
Exactly.
Too much information. I don't want it.
But we got to Louisiana again, and I finished out high school. Loved high school after my sophomore year, because I decided I was going to do high school my way and not Dad's way, because Dad's way was you bring home all your books and you study from the time you get home until the time you go to bed. And that was not my way of learning. And so my freshman and sophomore year of high school, I had C's and D's. My junior and senior year, I had A's and B's, and I ended up on the honor roll my senior year. And that's because I studied my way. And I enjoyed the classes I was in, and I had fun doing what I wanted to do in high school. And it was just more enjoyable time for me.
So Dad's way of studying was head in the books, study, study, study. What was your way of
My way of studying was listen to the teacher, do the work in class as she's talking or he's talking, and then 30, 40 minutes of homework when I got home. And then I was off doing soccer practice or football with the friends in the neighborhood. I was mowing yards, I was skateboarding, bicycle riding,
activities,
doing typical stuff that
busy boys,
teenage boys do.
Yep.
Skating on Friday and Saturday nights and chasing girls and having fun and
chasing lots of girls. I can tell you that from a fact.
That's true. I'm not going to deny it. I was looking for the one.
He was a cutie, long blonde hair to his shoulders, feathered. It was the 70s, y'all. So cute. But the girls were probably chasing him.
No,
I wasn't, but the girls probably were.
We didn't know each other when we were in high school.
No, we didn't.
And so graduated high school, went to work, typical. Thought I wanted to go to college, but that didn't work out. Various reasons there. And then it just, I don't know, life just seemed to become mundane and boring. And I was looking for
at the ripe old age of
21.
Life was mundane and boring at 21. Anybody else turned 21 and you thought life was boring? I didn't think so when I was 21.
But I was looking to settle down
at 21.
And I was tired of playing the chasing game and the dating game. And I knew there was something more, and I just had to figure it out.
So would you say that you had a good and a happy childhood?
I had a decent childhood.
A decent childhood. Can you expound on that a little bit?
I didn't have a hometown.
Okay.
And when I got to high school, 90% of my friends in high school grew up right there in Bossier, Louisiana.
Shreveport, Bossier, Louisiana. Yeah.
And that was their hometown. And the majority of them are still there in Shreveport-Bossier.
Yep, but you are not.
I am not. And there's more to that story for sure.
Oh yeah, there's more to that coming.
But I wanted a hometown, and
So
I needed to figure out how.
why did you want a hometown? What made you desire that so much?
To me, hometown was stability.
Ah,
Hometown was knowing you belong somewhere,
okay.
knowing you were a part of something bigger than yourself.
And you didn't feel like you didn't have any attachment to the place that your grandparents were, either
No.
of your grandparents were. You
No.
didn't have an attachment to those towns or to there where they were.
No. My mom's mom lived down in Houston. Only saw her once a year, maybe once every 6 months if I was lucky. My dad's mom and dad lived in Livingston, Texas, which was about an hour drive from Houston, and saw them maybe once every 6 months. We had a family reunion every year, and I got to see my cousins if we were in the States. But it just, neither one of those places drew my attention or my desire to live there. But I knew when I got to Louisiana the second time and I was in high school, I wanted something solid. And I told my dad, I said, if you move again before I graduate high school, I'm going to move out and move in with a friend so I can graduate high school here. I do not want to move again in high school. You've already moved me once.
I remember your mom telling me that when you got there and the movers were moving in the furniture and all the family belongings, they put the chair down in the living room and you plopped down in the chair and you said, I'm home.
Yep.
I'm done.
Yep.
And she said it was just matter of fact, you had made a decision and there was going to be no convincing you otherwise.
Right. I was not moving again.
Right. That's what she said. You were just through with the moving, which is completely understandable when you're moving every 2 or 3 years, your entire life for 21 years, and you have no say and no choice in it.
Right.
I mean, that's got to be a really hard adjustment to try and make doing that.
Well, military kids learn to be brats.
Yes, they do.
And they learn to be bold. They learn to be respectful. They learn to adjust, and they learn to tolerate.
Yes.
And
that
is a good thing, learning how to be a brat, because if you're not, your life is going to be miserable growing up as a military kid. And it just, there's no other way to describe a military kid other than being a brat.
Okay. Now I have actually 2 more questions for you. I want to know your favorite memory from childhood and your least favorite memory from childhood.
The least is easy. That's the moving.
No, I mean, just one memory.
Oh, just one
Now
memory.
you can't lump it all in together. Just one memory.
I guess my least favorite memory was waking up and knowing Dad was gone and not knowing when he would be home.
Just the uncertainty of it.
Not knowing if he was coming home.
Yes, that's
when he disappeared, that was during Vietnam, and he was a pilot in Vietnam. He was flying missions over Vietnam, and of course I didn't know that when I was that age. I knew that, I learned that later in life, but
you must have had a feeling that he was doing something dangerous.
I knew he was doing something important.
Okay. And that there was a possibility he might not come back from the important thing that he was doing.
And then I guess the
happiest memory that you have.
The happiest memory that I have. I guess that would be working on my first car. It was a 68 Mustang that I got from my uncle, my mom's brother.
Car geek.
And he said, if you can get it running, you can have it. So my dad and I
Hey, who wouldn't want that?
My dad and I spent 6 months getting that car running and drivable again, and then dummy me went off and sold it. So
yeah, anyway, I've regretted that our entire marriage.
So anyway, that's probably my least favorite memory and my most favorite memory.
Good. Well, that gives you a little insight into Sweet Tea. I don't know how sweet he was back then. I didn't know him. So, I'd have to ask somebody that knew him back then. And I think I'll just leave it to my imagination and believe that he was still just as sweet as he is now. I do know when I met him, he brought flowers to his mom. And I thought that is the kind of guy I want, who still brings flowers to his mom when he's 21. So I'm pretty sure he was still Sweet Tea back then. So this is our episode for tonight, getting to know Sweet Tea back in his early years. And we'll be back with our next episode, which will be
Getting to know Sass.
Ooh, hold on, y'all. Buckle
Hold on.
up, Buttercup, because it's coming.
Hold on. See y'all next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.